you're going to be shocked, prepared to be shocked.
Это
Sorry,
просто
but
кошмар, да.
study.
Офигенный курс.
Wait a second.
Если честно, ничего не знаем. Да,
Like
ничего
that.
себе.
We believe in ya.
Давай, погнали. Привет, ребята, я Бенджамин, я из Лондона.
And I'm Katya from Novosibirsk.
И мы оба преподаватели английского языка здесь, в Big Apple School в Новосибирске. И сегодня мы будем обсуждать...
We're going to talk about universities and the difference between educational systems in Russia, in the US, and in the UK. So shall we start?
Да, так давай обсуждаем поступление в университет. Давай, погнали. Так, в России, в Англии, в США у нас разные процессы поступления в университет. Так мы будем обсуждать именно это. Давай начнем с российским процессом. Как поступить в университет?
Super easy. Well, not that it's easy to get into university, no. But I mean, the process itself is super easy because at the end of your school life, you take what is called universal state exam. So basically, this is an exam based on the knowledge on
То
a certain...
есть ЕГЭ.
Exactly, yes, that's it. So what you do is you take the exams you might need for a certain major that you are going to choose, and then you just take these exams and apply to university. That's it. So usually you have 3 subjects that you need to take. I mean, the results. Usually you need...
Обязательные предметы.
Yes, so we have, as far as I know now, there are 2 mandatory subjects, which are Russian and math. Math can be further subdivided into basic math and non-basic math, whatever you call
Как
them.
будет дальше? Не дальше. На английском это further mathematics.
Really?
Да,
It's called like
есть
that. I have
такой
no
предмет.
idea what it's... I think it's in Russian, it's like углубленная математика. Since I'm no longer in secondary education, thank God, sorry.
Это просто кошмар, да.
Yeah. So, and the thing is that at the end, you have the results. So you have a total of a certain amount of points, the maximum of which is 300 for 3 subjects. So basically, you get a set of documents, you send this set of documents to a university together with your results, and there you go, you just wait. So, but I know that in the US and in the UK, well, not sure about the UK though, but in the US it's a totally different system.
Есть система, которая называется GPA. То есть как средние баллы. И нужно накапливать хорошие баллы, естественно, да, в течение года.
And it's not only the year, actually. GPA is built from a lot of different criteria. For example, your extracurricular activities. Were you a good student, a bad student? What's your behavior like? Did you take part in sport events, in acting, in different things, in clubs? All of that in general makes, this GPA. So it's not only your academic success.
Сейчас у нас нету такого в Англии. У нас просто экзамены, нужно хорошо сдать экзамены и все.
So like in Russia then?
Наверное, да.
But when you apply, so for example, in Russia, when you apply for university, you basically just fill out the gaps, like, oh, I want to study this, that, just basically tick all the answers. But I know that in the US, you also need to attach what is called a motivation letter. Basically, for each university, you write a special letter where you describe yourself as a person and say why it's exactly you who they should choose and why you want to study in this exact university. Is that a thing you do
Да,
in
в Англии
England?
у нас как похожее письмо называется personal statement. То есть личное объявление, кое-что похоже.
So it's not really a thing yet in Russia, but yeah.
Да, это может быть около 500 слов.
What do you think about your system in Britain? So are you satisfied with the system of applying?
Если поступление в университет, у нас есть единый портал, называется UCAS. Я забыл именно, как расшифруется UCAS, но может подать заявление на 5 университетов. И есть первый выбор и так далее. Если честно, да, я вообще доволен с этим процессом. Да, в этом не вижу проблемы.
Okay. Well, here it is. Here's the main difference in the application process. I think the main difference that everyone thinks about when we talk about education in Russia and in other countries is, of course, the price, or as we call them, tuition fees. Basically, how much your study is going to be. So, Benjamin, do you know, first of all, anything about tuition fees in Russia? Or what do you think?
Есть два варианта. Есть бюджетные места, есть платные места. Я не знал, сколько стоит вообще университет в Москве. Ну, может быть, где-то 200 тысяч в год.
Okay, it totally depends, of course, as everywhere. It depends on what university that is, where it is, what's your major, and everything. I think we should actually point out what major is. So major, because we're going to repeat this word over and over again. Major is your specialty, basically.
В России нету такого. Ну, в Америке есть как основное направление, если можем так назвать.
Well, in Russia we have the word специальность. So basically you use it, well, you choose it before you apply because you apply to a certain university. But again, so the price, the tuition fees, they depend on this major and everything. I can give you an example. You're going to be shocked, prepared to be shocked. I recently decided to check out how much it is to study in Moscow. So for example, regional studies, master's degree, 1 year, 600,000 rubles.
Ой.
More than in Britain.
В этом входит стоимость на жилье или просто стоимость на обучение?
It's just your tuition. It's not accommodation fee or something like that.
Себе.
Just this. So basically, very often, like these days, it is more expensive to study in Moscow and St. Petersburg than it is in Europe. But of course, if we talk about tuition fees, we can't but mention the US. But actually, before we do, tell me about Britain.
В Англию, когда я поступил в университет в Англии, я платил в год, может быть, 3000 фунтов в год.
I'm calculating.
Дорого, но не сильно дорого.
So it's like 300,000 rubles. Excuse my
около
math.
этого, может быть, сейчас это может быть меньше, учитывая курс на рубля.
By British standards, is it a lot or is it like bearable?
Тогда это было дорого, может было терпеть. Сейчас я слышу, что может быть в районе 20 тысяч фунтов в год.
6 times more?
Может быть, и повысят цены.
Oh my goodness.
Стоимость,
да. Wow. But what about the US?
Это совсем другое.
Hysterical laughter from both sides.
Да, другая тема. В США может быть от 20 тысяч долларов в год.
Per year.
Да, в год до, может быть, 200
Depends on the major, yeah. So usually the most expensive major there is in the US, okay, there are two, law and medicine. So basically you want to be a doctor, be prepared to pay around $1 million. So it's a lot. Let's say in my university, so Wellesley College, the tuition fee per year was 85,000. But that included accommodation, food.
Все равно это ужасно.
But still, 85,000. But you have mentioned that in Russia we have these, governmentally funded places and everything.
Бюджетные места.
Exactly. Is it a thing in Britain? So, and what do people do if they do not have the money to pay?
Есть стипендия. Есть много разных стипендий. Например, мой друг в университете, он еврей, он получил специальную стипендию для евреев. И есть для других религий тоже, это сложно найти место.
It is. But I have to point out that when we hear the word stipendia, we Russians have something different in mind because we have a different meaning of this word. Do you know what that is in Russian?
Ой, может быть, я перепутал.
No. I mean, it is a new meaning of the word, yes, but we also say a stipend, when it is like a monthly stipend, a monthly allowance, you can get it as a student if you study on this бюджетное место and you study well. So you get a satisfactory mark, say bye-bye to this stipend.
Ты имеешь в виду
So only good mark or excellent mark, I think. So 4 and a 5, you can get it. Once you get at least 1-3 for your exam,
Все,
Adios.
вылететь из курса.
No, it's not like that. You just
Не
will
из
not
курса,
have...
но нету стипендий.
Yes, you
больше.
just will not have this monthly allowance. Of course, it's... Money's a joke, really.
Не понял, это что и все?
It's like 2,000 per month or something. Used to be at least, but yeah. But yeah, actually, I have to say to everyone who's watching this video and is contemplating, applying for university in another country, do not be afraid of the prices of these huge tuition fees. Why? Because there is a whole system of scholarships and stipends, a lot of which can actually cover your study, or at least, your accommodation. Very often you can even get a fully funding scholarship, which will cover absolutely everything. So please do not be afraid. Just make sure to check everything out.
И тоже я слышал, что в Чехии, в Чешской Республике, если вы выучишь чешский язык, то можешь поступить на бесплатный курс.
Absolutely. So always make sure to check out all the possibilities. We believe in ya.
Так, Катя, какое у тебя было направление и какие были у тебя плюсы и минусы твоего курса в университете?
Well, one thing you need to understand. So, first of all, my major was education, or rather teaching English to speakers of other languages, or teaching English as a foreign
Так, у
language.
тебя 2 диплома.
No. I have one diploma which states that my major is teaching English as a foreign language. But you have to understand that we here in Russia, we have to choose our major before we even apply to university.
Как в Англии.
Oh, you
У
do
нас
have,
тоже,
you
да,
have the same thing.
нужно,
Oh,
да.
fantastic. Because in the US, you have more freedom. Because in there, when you apply for university and you enter university, you do not have to choose your major straight away. No, it's okay. You can take a year, and only by the end or mid of the second year, you should choose your major. So that's okay if you enter university and you think, I want to study literature. But then you understand you want to study biochemistry. Totally fine.
Первый год это как ясли для
Yeah,
взрослых.
really. It's like a kindergarten for all the students. They're like, what is happening? Where am I? What do I want to
Да.
study? They're exploring.
Ясли с алкоголем, с...
Well,
Может
that's
быть.
also... Come on, we've
Да.
talked about this on a podcast about alcohol, actually, all the first years and everything. But yeah, so when I chose my major, I was very sure that I wanted to connect my life with foreign languages. Unfortunately, I was applying, or maybe fortunately now that I think about it, I was applying for 3 universities for the following majors: teaching English as a foreign language, translating, and translating. I did not get into the other 2 universities.
Сколько часов в неделю были у тебя?
Oh, you mean...
С обучением, да, с преподавателями, с профессорами.
So what you're saying is what in Russian we call аудиторные часы. So only counting the hours with professors, right?
Точно.
Okay, doing math. I'm sorry, I'm in humanities. Math takes a long time. So wait. So we had about 4 double periods every day. So it's 6 hours.
6 часов в день.
Yes. So 6-7 hours, 5 days a week.
Офигенный курс.
I mean, if you look at, the transcript. So, this, when you get a diploma, you have the subjects, the hours, that's called the transcript. If we only speak about practice of oral and written speech, so just English, 1,000 hours. Practical phonetics, 450 hours.
Ой.
Practical grammar, 600 hours. So, it's a lot of
Хороший
hours.
курс, да. И
And
это в НГУ здесь.
no, it's the Novosibirsk State Pedagogical University, my alma mater. Wait, what about England? How many teaching hours do you get?
Мне очень понравился свой университет. Очень красивый здание.
You went to university, the University of Bristol.
Да, в Бристоле, да, в южном, да, на западе Англии. Да, вообще мне очень понравились свои профессоры. Но, к сожалению, у меня было всего лишь 7 часов в неделю. И я...
Wait a second.
Да.
So you went to university, physical building and classes, 7 hours per week.
Да, полная
Per
ставка, да.
I'm sorry, I just could not comprehend.
Это...
Per week?
Да, в неделю, да. Может быть, 9 часов иногда, но мое направление это было итальянский язык и русский язык.
What were you doing?
И когда я закончил университет, мой итальянский был неплохо. мой русский был вообще
Wow.
очень ржавый, скажем.
Rusty.
Да, это
Rusty. Yeah,
очень
we say
английский
like
был.
rusty. My
Да, да.
language got rusty. Wait, so does
Да.
that mean that in England then everything focuses on independent work, like what you do at home?
Да, точно, сочинение дома.
What do you think about this system? So if you had a chance to do it the Russian style, let's say, which means not much time on independent work, but we still spent like 3 hours per day, at homework, but rather having a lot of teaching hours or having it your way, what would you choose?
Я бы выбрал русскую систему. Это, смотри на твой уровень английского языка. Ты
Oh, please.
практически безупречно говоришь
Go on.
по-английски. Да, это видно, да, если у вас такая система, да. Я говорю по-русски, всегда допускал ошибки.
Well, but then again, think about it. You had 2 languages.
Да,
I
это
had 1.
тоже ошибка.
So if I had studied 2 languages, because a lot of people did so, let's say English and German, English and French and Chinese, whatever, who knows, maybe I would have been speaking, in a totally different way. But
Наверное, разбавляет, как языки. Мой итальянский, иногда, когда я говорю по-русски, я использовал итальянские слова. И это может быть проблематично.
so, okay, so this is, in your case, that was a disadvantage of your program, advantage of mine. What were other pros and cons of your degree? So you majored in Italian and Russian studies, so tell me.
У нас было очень много интересных сочинений. Мы все равно на английском языке мы писали такие сочинения.
So you wrote essays in English, but about Russian studies or
Про
about
Достоевский,
Italian?
про историю, было как модуль про перевод, переводный модуль, да.
So this is again, do you think it's like a pros or cons in this case?
Это может быть преимущество, но все равно я хотел узнать русский до
Well, that's why
безупречного
you
уровня.
now live here in
Я
Mother
здесь
Russia.
нахожусь в России именно для этого, и чтобы быть, конечно, преподавателем.
So you said a lot about essays, and that's a major thing of studying abroad and everything. But I really wish we had that. We were never
Да.
taught how to write essays.
Если честно, я сейчас знал, как написать эссей и сочинение.
fantastic.
Это преимущество, да, это...
Because when I started,
Выгодно.
like a couple of years ago, I started to write, my motivation letters for master's degree and everything. I got to university, I mean, as a visiting professor, but still. And I realized I have no idea how to write the essays. We had never been taught how to write essays. So I had to take, an additional course on solely writing essays. And you can imagine my shock when I realized that, oh wow, there is a whole structure and so many details and nuances. It's like a whole new world over there. So that's a good thing that you had that. That's for
Да,
sure.
улучшает свой уровень родного языка, да.
I have another
Если
question. Do you actually wish something was taught differently to you?
Я бы хотел изучать русский с многими, с большим говорением.
So you would like to have like more practice?
Да.
I think this is the major difference that we have, because in here, I think what was the biggest advantage of all is that we had a lot of different subjects. Let's say history of language, history of Britain, history of the US, very brief though, but still, all of these subjects were in English. Absolutely all of them. The only subjects that were not in English are the ones taught by professors from different departments. For example, math, we had just one semester, psychology,
Он был математика у
science.
тебя?
One semester, it's like obligatory subject for everyone, no matter what your major is. So, yeah.
Интересно. Я бы хотел узнать больше про математику.
Oh, it was very brief and very basic, but even that was torture. I kind of wish we hadn't had that, but well. So, yeah, I think that these are the main advantages. About disadvantages, I have to be honest, I can't think of many. Honestly, I know that now this same program, this same faculty has a lot of exchange programs that we did not really have when I was a student. But I can't think of anything that I wish was different. I really loved the studying, the way it was organized. So yeah, I love my university. Don't tell them that, but still.
Почему нет?
Oh, you know, they're going to be like, oh, yes, of course, we're the best. But no, really, I absolutely loved it. And talking about other differences, between our systems, tell me, in Britain, are students generally well-behaved? So is it common to cheat or pull an all-nighter?
Как я раньше упомянул, есть много алкоголя, особенно в первом году обучения. Да, это ужасно, если честно. Есть много пабов в городах для университета в Англии. И это просто бар-кролл, то есть гастролирование по барам для студентов.
I've just realized that in Britain the drinking age is 18.
18 в
And the
США.
students, the first-year students, are 18. Oh, they go crazy. They must be going crazy.
И это наш первый опыт жизни
Oh, God, it's...
вне дома у мамы. И
Oh,
это...
yeah, students go crazy. Because in the US, the drinking age is officially like 21, so most of first-year students, they're 18. So they do not know how to handle things, and they usually get it, through somebody and everything. But that's interesting, because I've noticed that in US, and it seems to be the case with Britain too, so first year, the further it goes, the more responsible...
становится более серьезным, более ответственным.
Interesting. In Russia, it seems sometimes to be the opposite.
Я слышал это.
First year, you're the most hardworking, and then your reputation works for you. So usually last year, you're pretty laid back. You're like, pulling all-nighter? Oh, that's what first years do,
Да, мой диплом было 4 года. Первый год ничего у Бали этого года не учитывали.
Oh.
Так, это просто было...
Totally opposite. Because
Да,
for us,
просто
like the
была
first year,
тусовка.
the most important. I always hit the books. I pulled an all-nighter, when you study all night long. Always did all of my homework. I would just study, all that. My last year, so my 5th year, so I was like, yeah, I'm working on my thesis slowly but surely in a very laid-back, relaxed manner. So interesting.
Да.
All right, so this is one of the things. Okay, what about textbooks? Tell me, do you have to buy textbooks? And
Я сам купил свои учебники, дорогие и были.
when you say expensive, like, what are we talking?
Главные учебники были, может быть, 20 фунтов за учебник.
that's reasonable.
Это это дорого, но не сильно дорого. Для последнего года обучения нужно купить специальные тексты для сочинений и так далее. Это может быть дорого, может быть и 100 фунтов для книги, может быть. Конечно, зависит от направления.
I think this is the main difference between all three of the countries that we are discussing. In Russia, it is provided. 90% or like 95% of all the textbooks are provided by the library. Yes, they might be old.
И скажи, как была твоя библиотека в универе?
Absolutely great. I mean, we never had to buy any textbook. We were provided with everything. Now, actually, a colleague of mine, she teaches Spanish at our pedagogical university. They got textbooks there that were printed in 2021 from, textbooks from Spain. So it's like new, nice textbooks. You do not have to, pay a single penny, basically, or pay a single ruble in this case. Everything was provided, all
Очень
the
интересно.
textbooks.
У нас была отличная библиотека, там много интересных книг. Но, к сожалению, да, учебники не бесплатные.
And if we talk about the US, so just so you know, for example, as a student in the US, I had to pay for my textbooks, different amount of money, let's say $45, $60. Sometimes you would need 5-6 books for one subject. The languages, however, oh my goodness, my students of Russian had to pay $200 per one textbook.
Ужас.
My Spanish book, so when I was taking Spanish, it was the second semester. The book is for 2 semesters. It was $450.
Это как кирпич.
Yeah. But $450. $250. That's
Что такое
horrible.
Rosetta Stone, что ли?
Yeah,
Да.
the holy grail of Spanish learning. So, yeah, but there is a joke that was going on in the US. So at some point, somebody stole books, textbooks from like a bookshop or something, or from a library. And they said, so the total damage is estimated $10,000. And somebody joked, I hope they found both books. It's just so expensive, yeah. I think this is the another main difference. So if we think about further things, so we have talked about curriculum. Now, there is another thing, which is syllabus. First of all, what is syllabus? How do we explain it?
Может быть... Как объяснить? Это сложно объяснить. Может быть...
Like a plan of the course?
Может быть...
I would say syllabus.
Подпункты курса.
Yeah, like a plan, basically. And I think the main difference is that in the US, all the students, when they start a subject, let's say they take Russian, at the beginning of the semester, they take a whole plan. What are we going to do? What are going to be the dates? Like, for example, by this day, we're going to have covered these topics. These days, you will have your test, you will have your midterm exam, final exam, so students know everything. All the dates, all the topics, absolutely everything. Have nothing like that in here. What about Britain?
Ну, у нас нету такого тщательного, как syllabus, скажем. Ну.
But when you start a subject, let's say your semester starts, do you have any idea what the plan of the course is going to be? Or like, how do you know? Or you don't know?
Если честно, ничего не знаем. Например, Достоевский, читать книгу.
So I've signed up for a course, about Dostoevsky. What are we going to do? Read the books, analyze the books?
Честно, не знал. Это, да, малоизвестно до начала. Да, это прям сюрприз.
That's so...
Да.
After being
Чтобы
in the
узнать,
US,
нужно,
sounds ridiculous.
Да, нужно обсуждать это с профессорами до начала курса. Нету такого... Да, это прям сюрприз был.
That's very surprising, yeah. I was a student here in Russia, so it shouldn't be. But after spending time in the US, now I look at this like, how do people know what they're going to study? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next difference, I think, is that in the US, professors, in a situation when a student wants to consult a professor to talk about them about something, professors have, some set office hours. For example, every Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 4. These are my office
определенный
hours.
график, да.
Is that a thing in Britain?
Да, есть. Да, если есть проблемы с курсом, если есть вопросы про сочинение, да, обязательно обращаться к профессору в определенных часах.
Not a thing in Russia. So in Russia, you're just trying to kind of, not go after, but like you kind of follow the professor, like, excuse me, do you have a minute to talk to me? And they're like, no, I don't have a minute, like call me or send me a message or something. So you kind of, it's like, trying to catch a rare animal, something like that.
Есть, я не знаю, для вас есть как WhatsApp-группа для курса.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, like a WhatsApp group, Telegram chat, something like
Можешь задавать вопросы друг другу.
Yeah. When I was a student, we did not really have Telegram back then, so we used VK, the old style, All right, never mind. It's just existential crisis crawling up to me, but okay. All right, and one more thing that I want to talk about. So in Russia, as we've mentioned, we choose our major before we apply. So, and I know that in some countries, it's possible to get dual degrees. So you kind of get like 2 majors. Is that a thing in the
Да,
US?
у меня есть итальянский и русский.
So it is considered to be a dual major.
Да, двойная.
Does that mean that you get to study twice as much?
Нет. Нет. Как я сказал раньше, мой курс состоял из 7 часов в неделю. 3 часа.
7 hours and he's got a dual major?
Да.
I spend 30 plus hours with the teaching hours,
Да.
See, I'm saying, that's how shocked I am. And I only have
Если
single
честно, я
major.
сожалею тем, что я не приехал сюда и не поступил в университет здесь, в России.
Yeah. Well, I know that in the US, it's also possible to get a dual major. So, and moreover, in the US, you have such a thing as major and minor. So basically, you always have a dual specialization, whatever. Only that one of them is like the main and the other one is your additional interest. For example, some people can major in, let's say, business or major in communication or chemistry and minor in whatever else they want. Let's say minor in literature, in languages, in whatever they find interesting. I even have a student who had a double major, so it's 2 major. Horrible amount of study she had to do.
Сколько часов в неделю? Ну, примерно.
A lot, really a lot. And she was majoring in biochemistry, so biology and chemistry. So she spent
Молодец.
like 7-8 hours every day, you know, in labs and everything. And then she took one course on Russian literature with our amazing professor, fell in love with Russian literature, and minored in Russian studies or in Russian. So she had double major and minor in Russian studies. Everyone was just admiring her.
Как это?
Fantastic. It
У нас
was
в Англии,
fantastic.
конечно, медицинские студенты, у них очень много да, часов.
Oh, that goes without saying. You
Да.
want your doctor
Да.
to know things,
Да.
like, you know.
Естественно.
So I think it's kind of universal thing, you know, in all the countries. So
Так будет тройная диплом, тройная у нее.
I would say тройная специальность.
Специальность, спасибо.
Yeah. So yeah, these are, I think, the main differences between our systems of education.
Так, ребят, это все на сегодня. Мы надеемся, что вам понравилось это видео. И обязательно нажмите на кнопку лайк и на колокольчик и подпишитесь на наш канал.
And don't forget that we also have a wonderful website where you can find everything you'd like, be that articles, videos, podcasts, you name it. You can also sign up for classes over there, online, offline, whatever you prefer. And if you're not really a fan of website, make sure to check our Telegram channel. Just search Big Apple School. So check it out. That was Katya.
I'm Benjamin.
Stay tuned.